Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gedeon, Ms. Grandinetti, Ms. Hartsfield, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Hussey, Mr. Iligan, Ms. Iwamoto, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Ms. Kohokapu Liloi, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kong, Mr. Kush, Ms. Lachika, Mr. Lee, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Miyake, Ms. Morikawa, Mr. Muraoka, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Olds, Ms. Peruso,
Not present.
Mr. Pirrick, Ms. Poepoe, Mr. Quinlan, Ms. Reyes Oda, Mr. Sayama,
Not present.
Mr. Shimizu, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takayama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Ms. Templo, Mr. Todd, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita. Madam Speaker.
Here.
Madam Speaker, 48 members are present, 2 are not present.
Item number 2, reading of the journal, Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, may this matter be deferred.
So ordered. Item number 3, messages from the governor. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Madam Speaker, there are none.
Item number 4, Senate communications. Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Madam Speaker, we are in receipt of communications transmitting the noted Senate bills, all having passed third reading in the Senate.
Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I move that the Senate bills laying on the clerk's desk pass first reading by title.
Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the Senate bills laying on the clerk's desk pass first reading by title. We'll be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Said Senate bills passed first reading. Members, are there any introductions? Okay, we'll turn to the order of the day. Item number 5, reports of standing committees. Representative Morikawa for the motion to suspend the rules.
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend the rules of the House in order to consider certain House bills for third reading by consent calendar.
Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Representative Kahaloa.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Reports numbers 921-26 through 967-26 as listed on pages 1 through 11, and that the accompanying House bills pass third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Members, any discussion on these items, starting with Standing Committee Report number 921, 922, 923? Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support.
Please proceed.
Thank you. In strong support, actually, but I do have one reservation. During this bill's movement through our House, it was turned into a general obligation bond to fund this much-needed building on Molokai. And my concern is with, of course, general obligation bonds. When we should be raising needed revenue from the top 1% wealthiest households who are getting between $50,000 and $68,000 from the federal tax giveaways in the One Big Beautiful Bill starting this year, and they will be getting that for the next 9 years. I wish we could actually capture some of that revenue and fund our buildings that way instead of on credit through general obligation bonds. Thank you.
Representative Iwamoto, are you with reservations or in support?
Strong support with reservations.
Strong support with reservations.
Yes.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Members, any further discussion? Okay, next is Standing Committee Report 924, 925, 926, 927, 928, 929, 930, 931, 932, 933, 934, 935. Representative Moroka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Shimizu.
Reservations.
So ordered. Report 936, 937, 938, 939, 940, 941, 942, 943, 944, 945, 946, 947, top of page 8, 948, 949, 950. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. 951, 952, 953. Representative Garcia.
In opposition?
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to this bill. Let me first begin by saying clearly that feeding our keiki is indeed important. No child should go hungry at school, and I strongly support programs that ensure children from struggling families have access to meals. In fact, we already have those programs in place. Families who cannot afford school meals already qualify for free lunch through existing programs, whether they're receiving housing assistance, SNAP benefits, or other forms of support. Over the years, we've expanded the eligibility so that families who once qualified for reduced prices now have free lunch. But this bill goes far beyond helping families in need. Instead, it asks taxpayers to subsidize school lunches for families who are fully capable of providing meals for their own children. This is not the proper role of government, and it is not fair to the hardworking taxpayers of Hawaii who are already struggling with one of the highest cost of livings in the nation. And let me address the argument that might be said that opposing this bill means that someone would not support feeding kids. I actually grew up on free school lunch from a family who was on housing assistance and received those benefits. So I know firsthand how important these programs are for families who truly need the help. And that's exactly why I want to protect those programs. The program already exists and it already works for those who need it. What this bill does is it shifts the responsibility of capable parents onto the backs of Hawaii's overburdened taxpayers. It subsidizes a responsibility that many families are already able to meet on their own. At a time when local families are overburdened by Hawaii's taxes and rising costs, we should be careful stewards of our taxpayer dollars. Hawaii's working families deserve a government that prioritizes responsible spending and focuses resources where they are truly needed. For those reasons, no vote.
Representative LaChica.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In strong support.
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, this bill builds upon the incredible work that the legislature did last year in expansion of free school meals to those who are on reduced price lunch, and beginning this next school year, those on 300% of the federal poverty level. However, we know that there's still so many Alice families. In fact, half of Hawaii families are reporting difficulty maintaining consistent access to healthy and nutritious food. This is so important in these times when we know that SNAP benefits are getting cut, there's inflation and rising grocery costs, and overall just a lack of support for our families is something that we shouldn't be looking at right now. In fact, it continues to assist our families and our kids. We know that research shows that for the states that have been able to do this successfully, we've seen better student outcomes, we've seen improved attendance, we also see improved behavior and test scores because no child should go to school hungry. Universal school meals is the right thing to do to address food insecurity, improve student health and readiness to learn, and support stronger academic outcomes. And I encourage my colleagues to support this measure. Mahalo.
Representative Alcos.
In reservations.
With reservations.
Yes.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In strong support.
Please proceed.
I'd like to adopt the words of the Vice Chair of the Education Committee and thank her for her work on expanding free school meals. I would also like to say that many of the programs that were mentioned by our colleague from the west side of Oahu, those programs don't reach our charter school students. So as we've expanded free school meals within our local public school, traditional public schools, we've left out another section of public schools. Charter schools are public schools, and if we want to talk about responsible spending, caring for keiki is probably the most responsible thing that we can do. Thank you.
Representative Shimizu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In opposition, with a brief comment.
Please proceed.
I've made a speech on previous floor votes, and I do agree that the children need to be fed. There's no question about it. My thought on it is, as we talk about charter schools that were missed, or maybe gap income brackets that are missed, then we should address it specifically and not blanket everyone who may be able to afford it. And just as we are looking at taxing higher income earners to pay more, with that same thought, we should have consistency in applying ability to pay. So that's my argument on that. But again, every child should be fed. There's no question about that. Thank you.
Representative Matayoshi.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise in support.
Please proceed.
A lot has been said about this bill, and I get it from my constituents as well. It's a difficult pill for people to swallow sometimes when you see families that you think are very wealthy sending their kids to public school, not that we have a huge amount of those, that possibly could afford to feed their kids. One of the previous speakers mentioned the free and reduced school lunch program, and as a teacher myself, who taught out on the west side of Oahu, I saw the kids I had a lot of students on free and reduced lunch. The amount of income that you need to qualify for even the reduced lunch program for a family of four is about $60,000 a year. And I would argue that families of four making over $60,000 a year also could really use that support. We try in the legislature so hard to give relief to working families. We have so many ideas, schemes, programs, pilot programs in order to do this. I think that this is giving a free meal to all students is one of the best ways to target those families that need additional support. I think so many of our families that have school-aged kids have additional burdens on their household income and could use that extra support. Now, are there some families that are going to get additional support that they could have otherwise scraped by with? Sure. But the amount of administrative burden in order to handle and just pick out those families that need that support is also another layer of government that I think my colleagues on the other side of the aisle wouldn't want either. So this is a way to simplify things. This is a way to target those families with school-aged kids, up-and-coming families who are still probably early on in their careers, not making a lot of money, having to deal and grapple with all of the problems that young families with young kids have to deal with, and giving them relief. And it also gets rid of the stigma for people who are on free and reduced lunch that I saw in my own classroom. It's getting rid of that stigma for those kids and allowing all kids to be equal, at least in this. So, very much in support. Thank you.
Representative Grandinetti.
Thank you. I would like to, in strong support, and I'd like to adopt the words of the chair of CPC as my own.
So ordered.
And I'd also just like to add that whenever we means test a program, people are necessarily left out. People who either make just a little bit too much to qualify or who are already overburdened and don't even seek out the application to become eligible. And in the case of a program like Universal Free School Meals, or in the case of school meals, when we leave people out, we are leaving out children. That's something I think is unconscionable, and I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Representative Hussey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I appreciate the thank you to the Minority Floor Leader for. I'm sorry, in support with comments.
Please
I want to appreciate the Minority Floor Leader for kicking off this conversation. And also thank you to the previous speaker, because the question of means testing is something that we really should think about. I wanted to reflect for just one moment, if I could, about our experience during COVID. And I was a part of a labor union which took it upon itself to work with other organizations to distribute food to members and to people in the general community. And what I saw in the car after car of people coming to collect food from these food distributions, it was all different kinds of folks in all different kinds of vehicles, all different sorts of expensive cars, lesser priced cars, and the fact is everyone needed food. And I think the fact that we didn't means test those kinds of community programs meant that it was truly universal. It also meant that the people who had the money to go and buy food in the market, that they were able to take that same dollar and spend it on other things that was important to their family. So I don't see this as a waste, and I do appreciate the concerns from the minority, but I do think that it's important that we, as much as possible, not means test these important programs. And I also want to remind us, just in closing, that we don't means test education. Education is universal. And I think that's a really important principle for us to stand by. Thank you.
Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support and ask that the words of the representatives from Kalihi, Kahala, and Kaneohe be entered into the record as my own.
So ordered. Representative Martin.
Thank you. I rise in support and want to echo all of the points that were made already about feeding our kids, and wanted to just add one more thing that was really brought to my attention by the child advocates that have been visiting us in the past, is that sometimes even for families who are not on reduced price lunches, they do not get, their parents are not organized or are not focused or whatever and don't pay for it. And even kids from middle-class families that might be able to afford it do not always have access to the food. And this would be something that we just know all students, all children that we value are able to focus on their studies while they're at school because they have been fed. Thank you.
Representative Garcia, second time.
Second time, still in opposition. I appreciate the debate, and that's what this floor is for. It should be used more. Charter schools, I think that's a great part of the bill, to expand food access to our charter school students who currently don't have that. I think that's a great part. But why not extend it in the same way that currently exists in the public schools currently, and that is if you, for the free school lunch program or the reduced lunch program, which is also now free, but there is an income threshold, there are eligibility requirements for that. We should extend those as well to the charter school programs. I hear a lot, Madam Speaker, about taxing the rich and taxing the rich. This bill subsidizes the rich, and I'm not saying all kids who have to pay for lunch are from rich families, but there are rich families out there who will now be subsidized by this bill. And food distributions, yes, I've done lots of volunteers work in various food lines, and there are all kinds of vehicles that come through, and families from the rich, middle class, and poor. But this is a direct appropriation to fund now all free school lunches, and we're looking at close to $30 million for this. So in a time when people are crying left and right about cuts from the federal level, this and that, I believe this bill, by subsidizing the rich, is just not a good precedent. No vote.
Representative Matayoshi, second time.
Thank you. Still in support. I just want to make a couple other points that I guess forgot to make. This bill actually does help all families by some of the most disruptive kids in my classes were the ones who were having a lot of trouble at home, also who were very hungry, skipped meals. Some of the only meals that they had were in school. So that's why we had breakfast, wiki breakfast, lunch. Those were their 3 meals in the day. And not everyone who qualifies for a free and reduced lunch necessarily gets one. Our school spent a lot of time and a lot of resources tracking down those parents to get them to fill out the proper forms to get their kids the free and reduced lunch that they would ordinarily qualify for. And that was a lot of time, a lot of resources, and sometimes we couldn't find them. A lot of the times these kids come from households that's very difficult to contact, and I tried to contact a lot of households in my time in teaching, And I can tell you, and all teachers can tell you, you don't always have a line in. I went to Costco once to go meet with a parent because I couldn't find a number for them. If that student needed a free and reduced lunch form signed, there was no way to get to their parent to get them to sign and fill out that form. So to say that all free and reduced lunch people who qualify are necessarily getting them is completely false. I think any school can tell you that. And again, this is a bill to feed all kids equally. The most disruptive kids in my classes were the kids who weren't eating, who had hunger and other concerns on their minds, and they would disrupt the class for everybody. So even if your child is not one of those students who would necessarily qualify for the free meal, you should want every kid in your child's class to be well fed so that everyone in that class has a good chance to learn. One kid can disrupt a class. Those are the kinds of kids we're trying to feed so that your kid can learn. Thank you.
Representative Souza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in strong support.
Please proceed.
I would like the words of the CPC chair both times to be entered into the record as my own, and also the vice chair of education.
So ordered.
And, you know, I think that we need to feed the kids. There's nothing better that we can do with our taxpayer dollars than to feed our keiki in our schools, especially the keiki in my community on the west side, the more vulnerable population here on Oahu. Jesus said in Matthew 19:14, "Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." Thank you.
Representative Templo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In support,
Please proceed.
may I have the words of the chairs for HSH, CAA, and CPC both times, and also the vice chair for EDN as they were my own?
So ordered.
And brief comments. So I'm from Kalihi, and I was on free lunch, and I had a lot of friends who could afford free lunch, but despite that, we would share my lunch because whatever reasons it was. So let's give free lunch to everyone and ensure that everyone, all our keiki is being fed. Thank you.
Representative Olds.
Thank you, Speaker. In support, I would like the words of the chair of CPC and the vice chair of education in the journal as my own. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Todd.
Hello, in support. Oh, sorry, it's been a while. Madam Speaker, in support.
Please proceed.
Instead of a rousing speech in favor of this, which I'm prepared to give, I did want to just maybe clarify a brief point, because it will come up on a number of other bills. Charter schools do currently receive their fair share of food money. It's just distributed in a way where it's not a line item, so it is very confusing. But the same is true for a number of other expenses, and for the last 9 years here, I was under the impression that that was not the case and that they were being shorted. But I can assure you that they are not. It's just a little bit clumsy in the way that it's handled in the budget. Thank you.
Representative Poi Poi.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. In support.
Please proceed.
I just wanted to add that schools will usually prepare enough food for all students every day anyway. And it's a matter of whether that food gets put on a plate for a child or it gets thrown in the trash and fed to the pigs. Thank you.
Okay, members. Representative Woodson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In strong support,
Please proceed.
may I please adopt the words from the chair of the vice chair of the Committee on Education first?
So ordered.
Thank you. And I just want to quickly to say, just cutting away all decoration, this is a policy decision. Will this policy prescription improve learning outcomes? Education has nexus to everything. And so if we can better support education, then we reduce our costs on things like the criminal justice system, like things like food stamps, these types of aspects that we use to support our society. Specifically regarding this bill, as the the vice chair had already mentioned, the jurisdictions that have used this in their schools, they see jumps in their proficiency rates, 5%, 7%, 12% increases in their test scores. And so for these reasons, I think it makes sense to support this proposal, and I'm asking my colleagues humbly to do the same.
Representative Tam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In support,
Please proceed.
I would just like to have the Chair of Education's words into the journal as if they were my own and a brief comment.
So ordered.
When I looked at this bill before us, I see it as a way to increase our education scores. And one of the best things that we can do for our economy is to provide our economy with a very educated workforce. Thank you.
Representative Reyes-Oda.
In support.
Please proceed.
As a teacher, I experienced the same things as the representative from Kaneohe because we worked at the same school. I just came afterwards. But really what I want to talk about is the numbers of people who ask for food in 96706 in Eva Beach. This summer, they had a program across, I don't know if it was across the state, but I know across the island called Kaukau for Keiki, where there were sites that food was given out to kids and families who signed up. And I want to talk about the numbers in Eva Beach. The Eva site was the largest site that they had given out food, and it was for 1,569 kids who had signed up to 604 families. But that's not the only number. They turned away 854 kids from 392 schools because they registered late and there wasn't enough food. So food is a big issue, even for areas like Eva Beach that look like middle-class areas that are gentrified houses and nice rows and great-looking areas look like excellent places to raise kids. But the issue at school with food is trying to reach the kids through schools, well, because people in the middle-class family in our areas need help. Thank you.
Okay, members, turning to Standing Committee Report 954. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. Report 955. 956. Representative Garcia.
In opposition?
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, this measure authorizes the Department of Education to establish a climate literacy certificate program and appropriates funding to push climate change coursework in our schools. At a time when Hawaii's education system is already struggling, I believe this is the wrong priority. Hawaii continues to rank near the bottom nationally in reading and math proficiency. We have students who are graduating from high school who can barely read. That should concern all of us. Instead of spending time and taxpayer dollars on creating new programs centered around climate narratives, we should be focusing on the fundamentals. Our students need stronger instruction in reading, writing, mathematics, and critical thinking. If we want to prepare students for the real world, there are far more practical subjects that we should prioritize. Financial literacy, so students can understand budgeting, taxes, and debt. Civics, to understand how government works. Career and technical education that prepares them for real jobs. Skills like entrepreneurship, personal finance, and workforce readiness. Until we address the serious gaps in core learning across our public schools, adding new ideological coursework is simply not the direction we should be going. For those reasons, no vote.
Representative Shimizu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In opposition,
Please proceed.
can I have the words of the minority floor leader be entered in the journal as my own? And can I add brief comment, please?
So ordered.
Based on what was just presented, definitely education, as the education chair so eloquently explained, is the basis of so much of our society. What my opposition is on this bill is, as I had related in comments yesterday regarding HB 1774, I think the crisis of disaster preparedness is more important than climate change. It is related to climate change, but I think specifically the subject matter of disaster preparedness and hitting our youth is a more important subject than climate change. So that's the basis of my comments and my opposition. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Martin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In strong support.
Please proceed.
I just want to note that our schools do try to address all different types of learners, and we have the full range of programs. We have students that excel in our schools and go on to have very prestigious careers in our state. And we need to cater to all different ones, and schools do provide opportunities for students to learn. And in the case of climate literacy, this is the issue that will impact our state budget more than anything else that is happening right now, and for generations and generations to come. If our students want to learn about this global phenomenon that is going to impact the way they're able to live the rest of their lives and that of their children, so that they can demand policies that address it and try to reduce the impacts that they'll experience, then I think this is a very good investment. Thank you.
Representative Quinlan,
Support, Madam Speaker.
please proceed.
Climate change is not a narrative. Climate change is not an ideology. Climate change is an observable fact supported by millions and millions of data points.
Representative Hussey.
I'd like to add to the previous, in support, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much. Wanted to add to the comments of the previous speaker that we just recently heard HSCR 939, which is relating to heat exposure for students. I would very much like our students to understand why we passed that bill, and so I support this bill.
Representative Garcia.
In opposition, second time. Climate change is real. The climate has always been changing. It will always continue to change, and we have no control over that. I know there's studies on both sides, and scientists go back and forth, but the prevalent common narrative pushed in most climate change circles today is one-sided. It does not account for all the science. The climate has always been changing, and it will always change.
Representative Martin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to point out that sometimes there are not two sides.
Still in support?
Still in support. Sometimes there is one side based on facts and one side that is not based on facts. It's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of observable trends that are having an enormous impact on our state and globally. Thank you.
Representative Souza.
In support, Madam Speaker. And I would like the words of the previous speaker and the majority leader entered into the record as my own. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Olds.
In support. I just want to note that this bill makes it not mandatory but optional for students to do this if they choose. Thank you.
Representative Pierrick.
In opposition.
Please proceed.
I just want to note that the words from the representative from Kaneohe are correct. I agree with what she said.
Standing Committee Report 957, 958, 959. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Report 960, 961, 962. Top of page 11, 963. Representative Iwamoto.
Just want to note my reservations.
So ordered. Report 964. Representative Iwamoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. Report 965. 966. 967. Going back to Representative Iligan. 966. Any discussion on 966? Okay. Standing Committee Report 967, Representative Iligan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand in support with brief comment.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I speak on this bill to give some clarification. The first clarification is that the intention of this bill is to close a loophole for the post-production in the film tax credit. However, the language of the bill actually includes all productions. What I want to share with my colleagues, Madam Speaker, is that I want to follow this bill to ensure that the language is solely for post-production. And the reason why we're trying to close this loophole regarding the post-production is because last year, White Lotus for season 3 came to Hawaii and did post-production in a timeshare in Kauai. And they estimated that the cost for that post-production, which is editing, sounds, so on, was estimated to be $2 million, which gave a tax credit of around $550,000 to the White Lotus, which they did all their primary photography and filming in Thailand. So what we want to ensure is we close the loophole for tax credits for post-productions that they would just come to Hawaii and not do any sort of filming. And the requirement that we put in this bill is 15% principal photography. I just want to give that clarification to this body, Madam Speaker, because I do understand that the language includes all production, but our real intention is only for post-production. Thank you.
Okay, members, Representative Morikawa for the vote.
Madam Speaker, on the measure before us, all majority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 5, STANCOM report number 934, HB number 1616 HD1, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. On page 9, STANCOM report number 956, HB number 1925 HD1, Rep. Kong votes no. On page 10, STANCOM report number 962, HB number 2344 HD1, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the measures before us, all minority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 3, SCR 927, House Bill 2594 HD1, Rep. Perrick votes no. SCR 928, HB 2551 HD1, Rep. Perrick votes no. On page 4, SCR 933, HB 1604 HD2, Rep. Perrick votes no. On page 5, SCR 936, House Bill 2233 HD1, Rep. Perrick votes no. SCR 937, HB 2241 HD1, Reps. Garcia and Perrick vote no. On page 6, SCR 938, HB 1891, House Draft 1, Rep. Perrick votes no. On page 7, SCR 944, HB 1595, HD1, Representatives Garcia, Shimizu, and Perrick vote no. SCR 945, House Bill 1811, HD1, Representative Perrick votes no. On page 9, SCR 953, HB 1779, HD1, Representatives Garcia and Shimizu vote no. And on SCR 956, House Bill 1925, House Draft 1, Representatives Aukos, Garcia, Shimizu, and Perrick vote no. And lastly, on page 11, SCR 967, HB 1941, House Draft 1, Representative Perrick votes no.
Members, have all votes been cast? Okay, said House bills pass third reading. Representative Kahaloa.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee reports numbers 968-26 through 1011-26 as listed on pages 12 through 21, and that the accompanying House bills pass third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Members, any discussion on these items, starting with Standing Committee Report 968, 969, 970? Representative Iwamoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. 971, 972, 973. Representative Shimizu.
Reservations.
So ordered. 974, 975, 976, 977, 978. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Reyes-Oda.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Gideon.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Matayoshi.
In strong support.
Please proceed.
I am very proud of our House for continuously passing a bill to try to regulate flavored vaping products every single year. We've been very consistent, and honestly, I can say that's one of the best things that we do every year is to make an attempt to try to get a hold of flavored vaping products that are making their ways into the hands of our kids, that are addicting another generation of Hawaii to nicotine, which is, I think everyone can agree, a highly addictive substance. It's, this bill, honestly, I think is one of the most worthwhile things we do every year because we're trying to get a handle of the situation, not only for the long-term health effects that are going to hit Hawaii in the coming years and decades, but also to try to do something to help our educational system, which is just getting ravaged by students addicted to nicotine who can't concentrate on their studies because their brain is telling them or trying to figure out when they can escape class for the next hit of nicotine. I was at an elementary school in my district recently, and I would find flavored vaping cartridges on the ground, in the playground, in the halls. If you ask any teacher, if you ask any principal in our state, all of them will tell you that flavored vaping is a problem. All of them will tell you that nicotine is making its way into the bloodstreams of all of our students, or maybe not all of our students, but many of our students, and disrupting the classroom and learning environment. So, I'm proud of us. I hope springs eternal, that it will become law at some point in some form, but I think the House is really doing its part every year to push this issue, to highlight this issue, and highlight the ill effects that flavored vaping products are having on our state and on our keiki. I also want to point out that the United States banned flavored cigarettes for the exact same reason decades ago. I'm not sure, I still am not sure why that we're not doing the same for e-cigarettes, which is the exact same addictive substance, again, in candy flavor, gummy bear flavored, making its way to our youth. So, thank you.
Representative La Chica.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In support?
Please proceed.
And I'd like to adopt the words of our CPC chair into
So
the journal
ordered.
as if they were my own. I'd also like to share that I, too, am very proud of our CPC chair's work over the years in continuing to introduce the flavor ban for vaping products. I remember working with our CPC chair on this issue before my first child, and that child is now 9 years old. And so, colleagues, now is the time for us to get this finally passed. Let's not raise another generation that'll be addicted to tobacco products. And also like to point out that all the counties have already passed trigger bans, and so should this pass, they'll be able to proceed with their own flavor bans in each of their respective counties. Mahalo.
Turning next to Standing Committee Report 979. Representative Iwamoto.
Madam Speaker, do you mind if we go back to 974?
Okay, let's finish 979. Any discussion? Okay, we'll go back to Standing Committee Report 974 on page 13. Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you. I rise in opposition.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Yesterday, I spoke in opposition to a bill that was very similar to this. It was about allocating taxpayer funds to programs to uplift the economy. This bill seeks to appropriate taxpayer dollars to develop the defense industry ecosystem locally. The military-industrial complex, specifically the war industrialists, are some of the most profitable corporations. Defense spending comprises almost 52% of the total U.S. discretionary budget. There's a little bit of an absurdity that the defense industry backed by $900 billion a year of federal taxpayer dollars, would need our state taxpayers to subsidize the development of that industry locally. The residents of Hawaii have already contributed more than their fair share. There's lost lands, environmental degradation, and unreimbursed impact funding for our DOE. For these reasons, I stand in opposition. Thanks.
Okay, members, we're at the top of page 15, Standing Committee Report 980. Representative Amato.
With reservations.
So ordered. Report 981, 982, 983. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. 984. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. 985. Representative Iwamoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Gideon.
985, I rise in opposition.
Please
Comments?
proceed.
I appreciate the intent of this bill. Promoting safety in our waters is important. I've been spearfishing it for over 20 years, and the dive community understands the risks that come with breath hold diving. However, very little testimony came from the spearfishing community, and while I spoke to other divers, many hadn't even heard of this bill, and not one spearfisherman I spoke to thought it was a good idea. It's another example of creating laws for an activity without meaningful feedback from the people who actually participate in it. Spearfishing is taught through mentorship, safety in spearfishing is taught through mentorship and dive partners, not through a label, engraving, or plaque on a spear gun or three-prong. I also have over 20 years of experience in the print industry. Spear guns, pole spears, and three-prongs, they take a beating in salt water, and the labels, plaques, and so on will eventually wear down, peel off, and end up in the ocean, and possibly in the belly of the very fish we hunt and eat. So while I do appreciate the intent of this bill, I will be a no vote. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
In opposition, I'd like to adopt the words of the previous speaker and a brief comment: save the fish, corals, and turtles. No vote.
Representative Muraoka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Standing Committee Report 986. Representative Muraoka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Reyes-Oda.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Pierick.
Thank you. In opposition?
Please proceed.
Okay, so this bill is not a good idea. I really encourage my fellow members to please vote no on this bill. We don't want our state going in this direction. This is not good.
Standing Committee Report 987, 988, 989. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. 990, 991. Oh, excuse me. 990, Representative Shimizu.
Yes, 990. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Support with reservations and a brief comment, please.
Please proceed.
You know, this bill is making a change that I'm willing to try. I think, as has been discussed on this floor, that we are trying to come up with ideas that will improve systems and outcomes. What I'd like to see on this bill is, because it could be a significant change, and I think the opposition testimony did reflect that it is a change that is significant. I would like to require reports to the legislature that would capture this data and measure the effectiveness of this change, and related to that, add a sunset so that we could again look at how is this change really making a difference, and not be locked into it. So that's my reservations on it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Kila.
Reservations, Madam Speaker, and permission to insert written comments into the journal.
So ordered. Representative Tarnas.
In support.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I wanted to make it clear that
our own Hawaii State Judiciary affirmed that as a matter of practice, family courts across the state already rarely impose fines, fees, or costs on youth and their parents. The Federal Department of Justice has confirmed that eliminating the unjust imposition of fines and fees is one of the most expeditious ways for jurisdictions to support the success of youth and low-income individuals, honor constitutional and statutory obligations, reduce racial disparities in the administration of justice, and ensure greater justice for all. In Hawaii, 56% of youth adjudicated in Hawaiian juvenile proceedings are Native Hawaiian and indigenous youth from the Micronesian islands. An estimated $40,000 in juvenile financial penalties are assessed against Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander youth every year. Research shows that courts in localities that charge youth fees and fines often spend significant resources trying to collect the money from primarily low-income families who are unable to pay. So this bill appropriately shifts accountability toward community service, restorative approaches, and culturally grounded, AINA-based programs that strengthen connection to culture, place, and community. These approaches are much more consistent with best practices in youth development and long-term behavior change while still preserving meaningful accountability. And I want to make it clear to members, this bill does not prohibit restitution. Orders relating to victim restitution are still available to the family court under this bill. So I urge all members to support it. Thank you, Speaker.
Representative Souza.
In support, and I'd like the words of the Judiciary Chair entered into the record as my own.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Report number 991. 992. Representative Iwamoto.
Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to House Rule 62.5.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm requesting a recusal due to substantial personal financial conflicts of interest with this particular bill.
Please state your conflict of interest.
Thank you. I own a substantial amount of shares in what's called Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin ETF. When this bill came up on second reading, I thought it was a mutual fund because that's how it's listed in my bank statement, but it's not, it's an ETF. It's much more similar to owning Bitcoin without having the responsibility of protecting the blockchain or the code or whatever that part is. But my interest is substantial. I have, since the last time on this bill that I tried to get a recusal, I did meet with the ethics...
Thank you, Representative Iwamoto. I think that is sufficient to describe why you're requesting to be recused. So pursuant to House Rule 62.5, each member, as an elected representative of their district, has the obligation or duty to vote on measures before the House, unless the member is recused or excused from voting. I'm reading directly from the rule. A member may be recused or excused from voting when the member has a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest does not arise where the measure applies to a broader class. Also pursuant to House Rule 54.4, no member shall refrain from voting unless excused pursuant to Rule 62, which is the conflict of interest rule that I just referenced. So I understand the clarification, I appreciate the clarification about the nature of the interest that you hold in a type of cryptocurrency. However, this proposed bill would apply to all cryptocurrencies, not a specific type, and you are also a member of a broad class of cryptocurrency interest holders. Therefore, the ruling is that you do not have a conflict of interest, and that will remain in effect for the rest of session.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 62.6, I do appeal the ruling of the Speaker, and I ask for a floor vote, a roll call vote on this matter.
Representative Iwamoto, just for clarification and also for the members, whenever there's an appeal of the ruling of the chair, it's a hand vote. So members will be requested to raise their hands if they support the ruling of the chair or if they do not support the ruling of the chair. It's a transparent way of knowing who votes which way. I just want to be clear to everybody, it's not a voice vote. It is a raising of the hands. Roll call votes would lead to the same result, just take a little bit longer. And
May I speak to my move to appeal?
yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So basically, I know there was some confusion speaking with some of my colleagues after we did this. It was that they were confused because it was a mutual fund and they understand mutual funds to be excluded. However, as I explained, this is an ETF. After our last deliberation, I did speak with the Ethics Commission, and I said, hey, do you remember when I was on the Board of Education for 5 years? When I had a substantial personal financial conflict of interest.
Representative Iwamoto, can you stick to the issue before us, the cryptocurrency?
Yes. Yes, but the issue really before us is whether or not I have a conflict that should be, I'm actually speaking to the appeal of your decision to say that I don't have a conflict or my conflict is waivable. And I'm actually asserting that I don't think it should be. And also, you're citing the rules which we have in the past. Even though we've had rules, we've actually voted on matters that were contrary to the rules, such as when we voted to allow the Vice Speaker.
Representative Iwamoto, if you can stick to the matter at hand, which is the
Yes.
ruling that there is no conflict of interest.
Point of clarification, Madam Speaker.
Please proceed.
Does the motion to appeal for the appeal to the chair, does it require a second?
No, it does not. Any member can request the appeal under Rule 62. Please proceed, Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you. Just to clarify, in every other board or elected body in the state of Hawaii, Board or Commission, the Ethics Commission prevails. They can say when you have to recuse yourself due to a substantial personal financial conflict of interest. Here in the legislature, we've asked the people of Hawaii to trust us, to let us police our own behavior, our own conflicts, and so we've created these rules. However, the rules that we adopt, we've violated our own rules. For instance, when we allowed the Vice Speaker to sit on standing committees.
Representative Iwamoto, I think that's going a little bit further than this issue here of a conflict of interest and whether or not your interest as a cryptocurrency holder qualifies under our rules.
Yes, and, okay, but there's also, you cited the rules, saying the rules don't allow me to be recused, and I'm asserting that by taking a vote, we actually are participating and saying, hey, we're gonna stand to the side of the rules, as we did when we voted to allow the Vice Speaker to sit on 3 standing committees.
I think you're still going a little bit further outside of what is the matter before the body, so if you can just stick to the ruling on the conflict of interest, please, Representative Iwamoto.
But it is connected, because what's happening right now is I'm asking my colleagues to vote against the Speaker's ruling, which is no conflict. And you're citing the rules. Thank you, Speaker. And you're citing the rules. So the rules are definitely, and the way we conform with the rules are very, very important, and the reason why we have rules. So this is all very important to what we do here. And so for those reasons, I do ask my colleagues to allow me to recuse myself. And I just want to clarify, when I say substantial in my conversation with the Ethics Commission Director, and I asked him, well, what is a substantial conflict? He said $300. And I just want to clarify that
Madam Speaker, point of order, I think we've strayed a little off topic, and also Kanalua.
Representative Iwamoto, please proceed.
Thank you. And so in my substantial interest is $300,000. So this is, I'm just saying, the public is watching. Don't force, for the body to force me to vote on this issue when I'm asking you guys to please acknowledge that I have a substantial personal financial interest. Also, when I asked him about, when I was on the Board of Ed, if I had shares in Coca-Cola, even $300 worth of shares, and if the Board of Ed voted on a policy
to please stick to the cryptocurrency issue.
Trying to show an alignment of a similar situation. that happens
Representative
outside of this
Shimizu,
body.
Point of inquiry.
please proceed.
In understanding this situation, I understand that the House rules and the
Rep. Shimizu, do you have a question for the speaker or for Rep. Iwamoto?
I have a question for the speaker.
Okay, I'll come to you afterwards.
Okay, thank you, Speaker.
Representative Iwamoto.
I'm trying to draw a parallel analysis of what is happening here and to show how far from standards and ethics this body is by not allowing me to recuse myself. Again, the Ethics Commission...
Representative Iwamoto, the standard for conflict of interest under the Code of Ethics in HRS Chapter 84 does not apply to the legislature. And so the Ethics Commission does not interpret our House rules and our conflicts of interest. So that's why that particular item of discussion is not relevant to this issue of under our House rules, Rule 62, whether or not you have a conflict of interest. If you can just stick to our rules,
Yes.
please.
Well, again, when we say let's stick to our rules, and I assert that many times we've violated our own rules. So our rules are only as good as we say they are, right, that we vote on. For instance, again, when we voted to have you as Speaker, Vice Speaker, it's confusing because you're serving as Speaker right now, but when we voted to...
Madam Speaker, point of order.
Please state your point.
The representative from Kakako has now exceeded her time.
Well, I think I made my point.
Thank you, Rep. Iwamoto. Members, is there any further discussion? Representative Todd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Do I have to state a position? How does this work?
I think that's helpful.
Okay, I'd like to oppose. That makes sense. Okay.
Oppose the appeal.
Yes.
Thank you.
I actually had a little bit of time today because we had our hearings wrap up yesterday. So I did want to kind of get into it because I did make a similar request in my first couple of years and kind of got dismissed quickly. So I wanted to give it some due consideration. When speaking to broadness of class, I was curious as to how many Bitcoin owners we had here in our state. And it actually lines up almost identically to the number of homeowners we have in our state. It's about 285,000 of us. It is a very broad class. But beyond that, if we're speaking to the actual interest on whether there is a conflict of interest, this measure will not impact the cost of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's market cap is $1.4 trillion. This is not even a blip on the radar. It will not register whatsoever. This will not impact the cost, and therefore there is no conflict of interest because this will not have a direct financial impact on the petitioner. Beyond that, even if we kind of move beyond that and consider what our role is here, we're about to pass 20 housing bills, unless they all die, it's possible. And many of us are homeowners, and if we're not, we're renters or our close family members are homeowners. And we have a much more direct financial interest in homeownership and the cost of housing. Many of our bills will have a tangible impact on the cost of housing. We have a conveyance tax bill that will come up on Tuesday that will directly have tax implications for anyone buying or selling a home. If we were to apply the same logic and recuse ourselves from those measures, we would not be able to do business here. So I think if in the case of someone having even expansive holdings, there would need to be such a direct interest and such a direct financial impact that it became difficult to actually weigh in honestly on something, and I do not think that this rises to that. Thank you.
Okay, members, a roll call vote has been requested. All those in favor of a roll call vote, please signify by raising your hands. Mr. Clerk, is there a sufficient number of votes?
Madam Speaker, we count 10 votes in favor. That is a sufficient number.
Okay, members, we are going to take a roll call vote. Vote aye if you are in favor of the chair's ruling that there is no conflict of interest. Vote no if you are opposed to the chair's ruling. Mr. Clerk.
So I rise to a point of privilege of the House, Madam Speaker.
Representative Suda, we don't recognize those types of points of
Or
privilege.
I'll just rise to a point of parliamentary inquiry.
You have a question? Yes. Okay, what is your question?
My question is that, just as an example, I don't disagree that there is no conflict of interest, and I agree with the speaker's ruling, but based on the rule, it can be interpreted differently. So I guess my question is the question really is if there is a conflict of interest, or is the question that the representative from Kaka'ako may not be able to recuse herself? Because I do agree that there's no conflict, but I do agree that the representative from Kaka'ako may recuse herself based on the vagueness of Rule 62.5.
Oh, okay, I see. So you're asking about the question before the body?
Yes.
Yes. So the question before the body is the appeal of the chair's ruling that both, actually, that there is no conflict of interest, and therefore, two, you are not allowed to recuse yourself from the vote pursuant to the rule that I mentioned earlier, which is Rule 54.4, that all members must vote unless they are excused pursuant to Rule 62, conflict of interest. So it's both that the chair's ruling is on, and it's both that I believe are being appealed.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, but I disagree with that assessment only because I do think it's
is that
two
a
separate.
question?
It can be a question.
Well, if you have a feeling on it, then you may vote your feeling.
I will actually. My question is whether or not it is actually the same question, because it's actually two different questions based on the reading of the rule.
Okay.
And it would I guess basically warrant different answers depending on your interpretation of the rule.
Well, the way that the chair has ruled is that there is one, no conflict of interest, and therefore pursuant to Rule 54, the member may not be allowed to refrain from voting. That is the ruling of the chair, and that's what's being appealed.
Thank you.
Point of clarification. I just want to clarify my appeal pursuant to Rule 62.6. My appeal was appealing your decision to deny me the recusal. It wasn't, my appeal isn't about whether or not I have a conflict or whether or not it's part of a broad class. My appeal was your determination that I am not allowed to recuse myself. So you said it was two questions or two decisions. It's only one decision that I am appealing. Thank you.
Okay. Members, we're going to be taking a roll call vote. Vote aye if you are Representative Shimizu.
Excuse me, Speaker. I had a question earlier, and was I able to ask a question?
Please proceed, Rep. Shimizu.
I understand the rules that we are held to, and I respect them. I understand the representative making a plea for her, I guess, what she feels is important in recusing herself. So it would, short of, let me back up. The question is there any other way that the representative who believes she needs to be recused cannot vote on the bill?
I think, Rep. Shimizu, that's a separate question and not directly relevant to the vote that we're about to take, so we can continue that conversation later. Representative Muraoka.
Madam Speaker, this thing is going on long and I'm confused. Can you retell me what I'm voting on? Can you clear up what we're about to vote on?
Sure. Members, the chair has made a ruling that Representative Iwamoto does not have a conflict of interest as she is a member of a broad class. Therefore, the recusal is not permitted under Rule 54, where all members are required to vote. That is the ruling of the chair, and that's what's being appealed. So we'll be taking a roll call vote. Vote aye if you are in favor of the chair's ruling. Vote no if you are opposed to the chair's ruling. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Alcos? Ms. Amato? Ms. Bellotti? Mr. Chun? Ms. Cochran? Mr. Evslin? Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gedeon, Ms. Grandinetti, Ms. Hartsfield, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Holt, Mr. Hussey, Ms. Ichiyama,
Aye.
Mr. Iligan, Ms. Iwamoto, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Ms. Kohokapu Liloy, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kong, Mr. Cush, Ms. Lachika, Mr. Lee, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Miyake, Ms. Morikawa, Mr. Muraoka, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Olds, Ms. Peruso,
Not present.
Mr. Pirik, Ms. Poe, Mr. Quinlan, Ms. Reyes Oda, Mr. Sayama,
Not present.
Mr. Shimizu, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takeyama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Ms. Templo, Mr. Todd, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita. Madam Speaker has voted aye.
Madam Speaker, excuse me. I didn't hear my name called. I wanted to make sure that a yes vote was recorded for me.
We have you down.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, we tally 45 ayes, 3 noes, and 2 are not present.
The appeal has been defeated. We are back to Standing Committee Report 992. Representative Iwamoto.
I just want to invite you to waive me for the entire session so we don't have to go through this again.
Oh, yes, I believe that was stated previously. The
Okay,
ruling
thank you.
stands for the remainder of session. Standing Committee Report 993. Representative Shimizu.
I'm sorry, Speaker, can you go back to 992?
Okay. Standing Committee Report 992. Representative Shimizu.
In opposition with a comment.
Please proceed.
I support the idea of protecting the kupuna. AARP made their discussion points with me.
Representative Shimizu, are you talking about digital financial asset kiosks?
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you. Please proceed.
And the reason that I'm opposed to this bill is that I believe there's a better bill coming through the Senate, SB 2387, that instead of a total ban on these kiosks, which would affect legitimate, certified, permitted businesses, that this SB 2387 would provide better guidelines and enforcement versus a total ban. So that is the reason that I am opposing this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, returning back to Standing Committee Report 993. 994. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Gideon.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Reyes Oda.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Muraoka.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Shimizu.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Souza.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Hussey.
No vote.
So ordered. Okay, members, top of page 18, report number 995, 996. Representative Alcos.
Reservations.
So ordered. 997. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Alcos. So ordered. Representative Moroka.
Reservations. And Madam
ordered.
Chair, when you have a chance, can we go back to 996, please?
Okay, let's finish 997. Okay, no further discussion on 997. We'll go back to report number 996. Representative Moroka.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Okay, Standing Committee Report 998. Representative Cochran.
With reservations.
So ordered. Report 999. Report 1000. Representative Iwamoto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support with reservations.
Please proceed.
I strongly support allowing the public to vote on issues such as their future indebtedness through issuing of bonds. However, my reservations come with my concern that this amendment doesn't have the structural backing to put guardrails on the amount of indebtedness that counties can put their constituents or the residents of their counties in. For instance, the state constitution does have guardrails for our work that we do in terms of how many bonds, geo bonds we issue, et cetera, the debt we take on. Currently, the counties do not have that constitutional protection. They're not included in our guardrails. Thanks.
Standing Committee Report 1001. Oh, Representative Cochran?
To 1,000?
On Standing Committee Report 1000, Representative Cochran.
Yes, with reservations.
So ordered. Representative Shimizu.
I'm sorry for SCR 1000 reservations also.
So ordered. Okay, turning to Standing Committee Report 1001, Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
Same request.
So ordered. Report number 1002, 1003. Representative Amato.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise in opposition.
Please proceed.
A core tenet is that you have a right to confront your accuser. However, I still have not been able to determine how you confront a camera, as it's not a person and you cannot interact. And for that reason, because you can't confront your accuser, I'm opposed. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
With reservations, and I'd like to adopt the words of the representative from Kihei as my own.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Gideon.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Souza.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Moroka.
Same request.
So ordered. Report number 1004. Representative Pyrick.
In opposition?
Please proceed.
Okay, so this bill would raise taxes on people in Hawaii and potentially visitors as well. We don't want that. So if we need money to fund other programs, we can get it from other allocations in the state budget, and there's a lot of space to get that from. We have a lot of high-paying government officials and things like that we can get the money from, so I'm voting no.
Representative Reyes-Ora.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Iwamoto.
I rise in support, and I think I just want to clarify something. That this bill, from my understanding of the reading, it only would tax these corporations, these rental car corporations, who, when they purchase rental cars for their fleet. So it's my understanding that it doesn't actually raise taxes on residents of Hawaii. Thank you.
Representative Kila.
Mahalo, Madam Speaker, in support.
Please proceed.
Thank you so much. To the previous speaker's point, this does not raise taxes on Hawaii residents because Hawaii residents are not the rental car industries that operate. There may be a few local fleet operators to that point, yes, but this largely puts parity into what something Hawaii residents are already doing, Madam Speaker. When they are purchasing their vehicles, they do purchase it with the G&T. Rental car fleets do not. The purpose is this was adopted in 1970, creating the tax code that gave the carve out. But I think at the legislature, it is our job to revisit and look at tax code. And I would say today, the industry that was given that exemption in the 1970s is a much different playing field today in 2026. There are legislatures across this country that are reviewing their policies and examining this very same instance. So to the point, if the rental car industry is going to pass off the GET onto the consumer, where they operate on a system of writing off depreciation that our local Hawaii residents do not have the same opportunity to do so, I would say I'm very disappointed. So in all those reasons, I support today's measure.
Top of page 20, Standing Committee Report 1005, 1006. Representative Iwamoto.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1007. Representative Bellotti.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In support, brief remarks.
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, I really want to thank the leadership team and the Judiciary and Finance chairs for hearing this bill. You know, some of the most difficult things to do in this building is to legislate and regulate ourselves, and that's precisely what this bill does. I'm not sure that it's going to come back from the Senate, so I do want to make some comments on it. And I think the best place to comment from is the Foley Commission's report. That was in fact commissioned by the previous speaker, where the House took the responsibility and responded to the concerns of corruption. The commission in its final report said about this proposal, quote, "The commission finds that wealthy individuals often enjoy greater opportunities and privileges in life than the poor and have-nots. Power is often so tightly intertwined with wealth that they often co-occur in societal structures, particularly in the arena of politics, where power may beget more money and money may beget more power. It is no small thing to disentangle the two when their influence on each other is long-standing and systemic, and where there's now such strong inertia against any system that would jeopardize the wealth of those who hold it or the power of those who wield it." This is a proposal that responds to this commission's findings. And for those reasons, Madam Chair, I thank this body for moving this forward, because I think we do take on the hard work of reforming ourselves. And that's what makes me so proud to be a part of this institution. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Iwamoto.
I rise in support and ask that the words of the representative from Makiki be entered into the journal as my own. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Souza.
In support and same request.
So ordered. Thank you. Representative Shimizu.
In support, same request.
So ordered. Standing Committee Report 1008. Representative Matsumoto.
Sorry, the previous measure with reservations.
Standing Committee Report 1007.
Yes.
Reservations for Matsumoto.
Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
On 1007-26 with reservations.
So ordered. Okay, we're done with 1007. We'll go on to 1008. Representative Cochran.
Yeah, with reservations. I agree with the intent. I just wish the dollar threshold was even lower. Thank you.
Top of page 21, Standing Committee Report 1009. Representative Kitagawa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In opposition and brief comments.
Please proceed.
Although I understand the intent of this bill and have supported measures in previous years related to partial public financing, I'll be voting in opposition this year. At the beginning of each legislative session, I send a survey out to my community to gather their input on bills and issues that may be coming before the legislature. Last year, I asked the community if they supported full public financing, and the results showed that 71% of those who responded were in opposition. So this year, I thought I would ask about partial public financing and asked if my community would support that. We recently got the results back and tallied up all of the surveys and had over 560 people respond. This year, over 70% were in opposition of using taxpayer funding for partial public financing. So I want to recognize and acknowledge the voices of my community and those who participated in the survey and will be voting no. Thank you.
Representative Matsumoto.
With reservations.
So ordered.
And I apologize, my with reservations from 1007 was meant for 1009. So if I could be yes on 1007,
So you're a yes on Standing Committee Report 1007.
reservations 1009.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, on 1007, please withdraw my reservations.
Okay, so Representative Garcia is yes on Standing Committee Report 1007. Representative Pyrick.
Thank you. Are we on 1009?
We are, yes.
Thank you. In opposition?
Please proceed.
Okay, so when we use tax funds to fund public financing of elections, we're basically saying, like, if there's a Republican out there and he says, I'm pro-life, we're using tax dollars to fund that message. If there's a Democrat saying, I'm pro-choice, vote for me, we're using tax dollars to fund that message. I think that a campaign should be a private matter. Donors in the community can donate towards that candidate to promote that message that they want advocated in this building, and we can leave the taxes out of it.
Representative Garcia.
In opposition.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I too surveyed my district. This is what, third, going on fourth year. And this coming month, I'll be submitting the same question out to my district for every survey that I've done since elected in 2022. The overwhelming majority for my district is against using taxpayer dollars to fund campaigns. So for those reasons, no vote.
Representative Shimizu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With reservations and a brief comment.
Please proceed.
You know, I'm of the opinion that we definitely need to take money out of the equation of getting elected. I don't know about you, but it's kind of a pain to raise funds. And what I'd really like to see is our system set reasonable limits on the amount that we can collect and spend so that we're all on the same plane, and it's not about who can raise the most money and have the most influence based on financial gain. So although this bill is short of full public financing, I think it's a step in the right direction in trying to allow candidates who would like to serve, who have trouble raising money, have some help. But I believe we should take money out of the system. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Muraoka.
In opposition, and can I have the words from the reps from districts 42, 48, and 39 inserted as my own?
So ordered. Okay, Standing Committee Report 1010. Standing Committee Report 1011. Representative Reyes-Oda.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Shimizu.
Support with reservations.
Please proceed.
You know, to this body, Madam Speaker, I did vote no in the past. And as I try to discern what is best for our people and the decisions that we make to effect good change, you know, I know I'm going against my caucus by voting yes with reservations on this bill, but you know, I do believe that it is even stated in the Bible, in the book of Acts, where those who had sold their properties to provide for those who didn't have. So in that principle, I do believe there is a threshold where those who can help others should, and that's the reason that I am supporting this bill with reservations. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Recess, subject to the call of the chair. Will the House come to order? Representative Morikawa for the vote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the measures before us, all majority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 13, Stancom Report number 973, HB number 1710, HD2, Rep. Poi Poi votes no. Stancom Report number, that was on page 13. Stancom Report number 974, HB number 2545, HD1, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. On page 14, Stancom Report number 978, HB number 1563, HD2, Rep. Kong votes no. On page 15, Stancom Report number 980, HB number 1619, HD2, Rep. Kong votes no. Stancom Report number 983, HB number 2367, HD1, Rep. Kong votes no. On page 16, Stancom Report number 986, HB number 1452, HD1, Rep. Kong votes no. On page 17, Stancom Report number 991, HB number 1897, HD1, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. Stancom Report number 992, HB number 1642, HD1, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. Stancom Report number 993, HB number 1523, HD1, Rep. Olds votes no. Stancom Report number 994, HB number 2593, HD1, the following vote no. Reps. Cochran, Grandinetti, Hartsfield, Hussey, Iwamoto, Poi Poi. On page 19, Stancom Report number 1001, HB number 2478, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. Stancom Report number 1002, HB number 2022, HD1, Rep. Iwamoto votes no. Stancom Report number 1003, HB number 1588, HD1, Rep. Amato votes no. On page 21, Stancom Report number 1009, HB number 2050, HD1, Reps. Kitagawa and Lee vote no. Stancom Report number 1011, HB number 2147, HD2, Reps. Cochran and Kong vote no.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the measures before us, all minority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 12, SCR 969, HB 1943, House Draft 1, Rep. Pirrick votes no. On page 15, SCR 980, HB 1619, HD2, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, and Pirrick vote no. SCR 983, HB 2367, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Shimizu, Pirrick, and Gideon vote no. On page 16, SCR 985, HB 1765, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Pirrick, and Gideon vote no. SCR 986, House Bill 1452, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Shimizu, Pirrick, and Gideon vote no. Page 17, SCR 990, House Bill 1626, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, and Pirrick vote no. SCR 991, House Bill 1897, House Draft 1, Pirrick votes no. SCR 992, HB 1642, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Muraoka, Shimizu, and Pirrick vote no. On page 18, SCR 996, House Bill 1655, House Draft 1, Rep. Garcia votes no. SCR 997, House Bill 1596, House Draft 1, Pirrick votes no. SCR 999, HB 1842, House Draft 2, Representatives Muraoka, Herrick, and Gideon vote no. On page 19, SCR 1004, House Bill 2575, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Muraoka, Shimizu, Herrick, and Gideon vote no. On page 21, SCR 1009, House Bill 2050, House Draft 1, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Muraoka, Reyes Oda, Herrick, and Gideon vote no. SCR 1011, House Bill 2147, House Draft 2, Representatives Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Herrick, and Gideon vote no.
Representative Iwamoto.
Madam Speaker, I apologize. I'd like to withdraw my no vote on Standing Committee Report 992, House Bill 1642 on page 17. I apologize, I got confused.
Are you a vote in support? Yes?
I am a vote in support. Thank you.
So ordered.
Sorry about that.
Representative Souza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to register a no vote for STANCOM Report 994, House Bill number 2593, House Draft 1.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Members, have all votes been cast? Okay, said House bills passed third reading. Now we're at the top of page 22, Representative Kahaloa.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Reports numbers 1012-26 through 1019-26 as listed on pages 22 and 23, and that the accompanying House bills, as may be amended, pass second reading and be placed on the calendar for third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Members, any discussion on these items, beginning with Standing Committee Report number 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015, 1016. Representative Pierrick.
Thank you. In opposition?
Please proceed.
Just one moment. Is 116?
On Standing Committee Report 1016?
I apologize. Wrong one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm voting yes on this.
Okay. So ordered. Standing Committee Report 1017? 1018? Representative Garcia.
In opposition?
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, this bill repeals the future adjustments to the income tax brackets which we passed just 2 sessions ago. I'm going to say it in and this is my opinion. This bill is a slap in the face to the people of Hawaii. It's embarrassing that we're even considering this bill today. Just 2 years ago, the governor and many of my colleagues on this floor paraded themselves and bragged to the people of Hawaii at press conferences and newsletters, in their campaigns even, that we passed the largest income tax cut in Hawaii state history. And here we are just 2 years later saying, never mind. It's an insult, it's an embarrassment, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for even considering this bill today. And I would urge my colleagues with common sense to follow through with the promise that we made to the people of Hawaii and vote no on this bill.
Representative Amato.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Todd.
Thank you. In support.
Please proceed.
I'll reserve my further comments until Tuesday when it will be up for third reading. Thank you.
Representative Gideon.
No vote, and I'd like to adopt the words of the representative from Kapolei as my own.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Muraoka.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Reyes Oda.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Kong.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Shimizu.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Souza.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Pierrick.
Thank you. In opposition?
Please proceed.
Okay, so this bill, like the previous speaker from Kapolei mentioned, is trying to go back on the words of legislators in 2023. We had historic tax cuts, which are good. And now in 2026, we're trying to say, well, actually, you know what? We think we need more people's money. So we're going to not embrace the tax cuts. It's a bad idea because our state budget is about over $17 billion, more than that. And we can get our funds elsewhere in the budget versus saying, you know what, we're going to go back on the tax cuts. So wasteful spending that we could get this money from instead is the rail. It costs like $10 to $13 billion. New stadium, over $400 billion. If we're so focused that the stadium needs to get funded, and at the same time we're saying let's raise taxes, we can equal things out by realizing other states fund their own stadiums. The SoFi Stadium is privately funded. The MetLife Stadium, privately funded. Levi's Stadium, privately funded. Big projects that don't require taxes. Other areas in the budget we can get money versus repealing tax cuts could include state hospital physicians make over $400,000. We could lower their salaries. University of Hawaii leadership makes over $400,000. We could lower their salaries. The coach at UH, he makes about $1 million. We could lower his salary. There's so many ways we can get this money besides repealing tax cuts in our residents. So I'm voting no.
Standing Committee Report 1019, Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Gideon.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Reyes Oda.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Muraoka.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Shimizu.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Pirik.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Souza.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Kong.
No vote.
So ordered. Okay, members, we'll be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Top of page 24, Representative Kahaloa.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House bills listed on page 24 and 25 pass third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussion on these items, starting with House Bill number 2088, 2089, 2090, 2093, House Bill 2099. Okay, Representative Morikawa for the vote.
Madam Speaker, on the measures before us, all majority members vote aye.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the measures before us, all minority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On SCR 895, House Bill 2099, I vote no. Garcia votes no.
Members, have all votes been cast? Said House bills pass third reading. Item number 7, introduction of resolutions. Mr. Clerk, are there any resolutions for action?
Madam Speaker, there are no resolutions for action. May all others be referred to print.
So ordered. Finally, item number 8, announcements. Members, are there any announcements? Representative Shimizu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to introduce some special guests. As you notice, they're sitting there, and I would like to welcome the students from Wanalo Middle School, one of my old schools back in the day, and their teachers and chaperones. So can you please stand to be recognized? Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Kila.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Hawaii today mourns the loss of former Congressman Colleen Hanabusa. But before Congressman Hanabusa ascended into the halls of Congress, she was the senator for the great Waianae Coast. So knowing the impact that she has had on the state, at the appropriate time, may I please request a moment of silence?
Thank you, Representative Kila. We'll have a moment of silence for the late Congresswoman Hanabusa following adjournment. Members, any further announcements? Okay, Representative Morikawa. Oh, Rep. Capella, excuse me. Representative Capella.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to one of the representatives from Moanalua. I have my cousin's daughter is upstairs, one of the students that's visiting, so I have to do a late introduction if you don't mind.
Please proceed.
Keone Nonaka, if you are up there, can you stand? So I can embarrass you. Thank you, and welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I move to keep the journal open until 12 o'clock midnight for the purpose of receiving standing committee reports and House bills transmitted thereby.
Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
We'll be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Representative Morikawa.
Madam Speaker, I move that this House stand in recess until 9 o'clock a.m. Tuesday, March 10th.
Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, I second the motion.
We'll be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands in recess until 9 a.m. Tuesday, March 10th. Recess.